Saturday night's main event took place tonight in Montreal, Quebec, Canada at Bell Center. So we had Stephanie McMahon officially hosting the show. Unfortunately, her planned co-host Joe Tessitore was stuck in an airport in Detroit and he couldn't make it out to Montreal for the show. And that's understandable because they let us all know how horrible the weather is in Montreal. It's awful everywhere in Canada. Most places in the United States, the weather is horrendous. It is really bad right now, and I'm experiencing it too. I think it's the coldest day of the year so far. It's been awful, the weather. So it's freezing cold. And they let us all know that because it really is bad out there. And so I give credit to the fans for just standing out in the cold before the show, getting there. It's really horrible. So Stephanie was on by herself. She was the only panelist. They couldn't get someone else with her. That was kind of weird. She asks Montreal, "Are you ready?" in French. Of course, they say yes. And then we get the intro, and they show us some of the superstar arrivals. Then we go to Jacob Fatu cutting a promo backstage. Before he makes his entrance, we see him going through the gorilla before he goes out to the ring. Then Cody Rhodes makes his entrance, and we thought we're going to get Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu opening the show. Well, that happened, kind of, sort of. What really happened was Jacob Fatu attacked Cody before the bell even rang, and then it didn't officially ring, and they let you know that, and that could tell that, all right, this is just going to be a brawl. They're going to separate them, and then no one wins. But that's not necessarily what happened. They went on to have a really awesome brawl, actually, and they had to be separated. And then they got out, and they just fought around the ring. Then they fought into the crowd, and then they went all throughout the crowd. Eventually, they go to the concourse backstage around where the merchandise area is, and they were right by a big display of the Montreal Canadiens players, some of their greats, and they were fighting in the Bell Center, and eventually they're not necessarily backstage, but they're around where people walk around the merch stand. Then they eventually get themselves back into the crowd. They fight through the crowd again, and that's when they're set up on this around these production boxes or something. What happens is Drew McIntyre appears in the crowd, and he drives both of them off through tables. He hits a low blow onto Jacob, and he drives him through a table, and then he power bombs Cody off I don't know if it was exactly where it was, but he power bombs him, and if it's a box or something like that, or if it was maybe around, it was a production area because there was a whole bunch of tables. He power bombs Cody through a table, and that looked really good. It looked like Cody got hurt actually the way he power bombed him. It was a really good camera shot, and Drew lays them both out. So no match. It was just a giant brawl. Backstage, Kathy Kelly was trying to ask Drew McIntyre why he did what he did. He really just shouted, didn't say much. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley were out next. Then Roxanne Perez and Liv Morgan come out as their opponents. Lillian Garcia did the ring introductions. We got the old school Saturday Night's main event display with the old school mic. And we get our WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match, our only title match of the night. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky defending against the Judgment Day, Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. So the heels got the heat on Io for a while. Then Rhea got the hot tag and ran wild. Liv and Roxanne used a really cool team. They used this double team like it was a series of moves. It was a bunch of aerial moves. It looked really nice actually, and they used it on both Io and Rhea. I wanted to mention that I think each of them just hit top rope moves. And I thought that was actually a really nice combination. I like them as a tag team. Eventually, Io tags in, gets back in the match, and then the worst part of the match easily is Roxanne hits the pop rocks onto Io, and it looks really good. And that looks like, all right, that's it. Maybe 1, 2. What happens is Rhea was late. She was late breaking up the pin, and she was visibly upset, it looked like. And the referee just couldn't count to 3. I think eventually Io just kicked out on her own, and the ref held up the count. This was a mess. They didn't want a repeat of the Blake Monroe situation in NXT when she lost the NXT Women's North American Championship to Thea Hale. So they didn't want a repeat of that because they would have to, obviously, spoiler, Liv and Roxanne weren't meant to win, but Rhea messed up there, and that was the worst part of the match. But they recovered, I thought. So eventually, Rhea hits a riptide onto Roxanne. Then Io hits the over the moonsault. It looks like it's over. Liv is nowhere to be found. But then Raquel Rodriguez appears and she trips Rhea, and Rhea crushes the referee, taking him out. And Raquel is now on their side. It's 3-on-2. But then Stephanie Vaquer comes out to even out the odds, and she fights off Raquel. They brawl into the crowd. First time we've seen Stephanie in a while, it feels like. Back in the ring, Liv is now the legal woman. She hits the Oblivion onto Io, which Io sold tremendous. Io was amazing in this match. She's the best. But then Rhea tags in, and Liv didn't see it, and that's when Rhea hits the riptide onto her rival, Liv Morgan, pins her 1-2-3, and Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky retain the Women's Tag Team Championship. And what I thought was a hell of a tag team match. I really enjoyed it. Again, the one botch was the low point, but other than that, the match was really good. I thought everyone was great. Io especially. Io was just tremendous in this match. Rhea was really good. Liv was really good. Roxanne's really good. I thought this was a great match. So we go to break, and then they preview the next match, which is going to be AJ and Nakamura. AJ Styles is out next, followed by Shinsuke Nakamura, and we get the matchup. AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, long history, especially in Japan. Briefly in WWE like 8 years ago in an extremely disappointing feud. So crowd was into both guys. I'll be honest, here, us international viewers, we don't get Peacock, so we have to watch the main events on YouTube. And what happened to me was my stream on YouTube got cut out, so I missed a lot of parts of this match. Had to go back and watch some of it. Really didn't get to experience it because wrestling is not as fun live, especially when you know who wins. But the middle portion of the match I lost a lot of, and it took me a while. Eventually, I was able to get it back, and I saw what happened. But they had a forearm duel near the end. Then the stream went out again, actually, for me after that. Eventually, what happens near the end is AJ hits a phenomenal forearm, followed by a Slouch Clash for the win. Overall, a better match than the WrestleMania 34 match, and that's kind of that's saying something because they had 24 hours notice, basically. We found out this match was going to happen in the last 24 hours, and it doesn't feel to me like this was a match that was planned like months in ahead, probably a week or two in ahead, whereas the WrestleMania match had Nakamura won the Rumble, I remember, and then he challenges AJ right away. They really had almost 3 months of build-up, and they still messed it up. This was way better than the WrestleMania 34 match, and AJ got the win here. After the match, the two legends embrace, they kind of do a fist bump, and this was actually the same embrace they had at New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 10 in 2016 when they had that great match in Japan. That was both of their last matches before they both went to the WWE, along with Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. They went with them. The four of them went together. I remember that. It was a big story 10 years ago. But AJ and Nakamura have an embrace, and you can see an image of it with this one 10 years later. It's the fist bump embrace in the middle of the ring, Styles and Nakamura. Obviously, this is nowhere good as the Wrestle Kingdom match, but I thought this was far better than the WrestleMania 34 match, which I do not like at all. I thought this was a really good matchup, and AJ gets the win. We'll see if he's going to retire next week. We will see. So they preview the Royal Rumble, which is next week in Saudi Arabia. Then we go back to the panel. Stephanie recapped the show. Then she previews the main event, which was next. Randy Orton was out first, followed by Damian Priest, Trick Williams, and of course Sami Zayn, who is massively over in Montreal, his hometown. He comes out last to a hero's ovation. And we get our main event for Saturday night's main event. Fatal 4-way match, number one contenders. Winner goes on to face Drew McIntyre for the undisputed WWE Championship next week at the Royal Rumble. We had Randy Orton, Trick Williams, Damian Priest, and Sami Zayn. So lots of action in the match. I'll be honest, I think Trick Williams absolutely sucks in the ring. They're making a lot of Booker T comparisons, and I can see that he kind of looks like Booker. He has a similar look to him, and it seems like he has similar ring gear. And of course, Booker was a huge part of Trick getting over NXT. He always sells the whoop that whenever Trick does that, whoop that trick entrance, Booker always, he sells it. He has his own thing with it. Oh yeah, I love it. That's usually what he says. Uh-huh. Whatever he says. But I get the Booker T comparisons in terms of look. I just don't like him as a wrestler. I think he's awful. I've watched him NXT for years. He was shit, and I do not like him on the main roster. Yeah, he has a good look. I just think he sucks in the ring, and I don't want another Jey Uso. I don't want another entrance merchant. I can't handle it. Jey Uso was horrendous last year. He ruined a lot of wrestling for me in 2025. I don't need Trick Williams to do the same thing to me in 2026. But Randy was slamming everyone on the announce booth. There were multiple pinfall breakups, guys hitting signature moves. Eventually, Sami Zayn, it's everyone's out of the ring except Sami and Damian Priest. That's when Sami hits the haluva kick onto Damian Priest and picks up the win. He pins Priest. Not surprising. I guess Priest had to get pinned. They don't want to beat Trick Williams right away after only debuting on the main roster for a few weeks, and obviously they're not going to beat Randy Orton right now. So Damian Priest had to be the one to get the pin. We all knew Sami was winning. He got the win here. Very good matchup. Not my favorite match. Probably my third best match behind the women's and the Styles Nakamura match, but still a really good matchup. After the match, as Sami is celebrating, his family was front row. They were happy. But then Drew tries to attack Sami. Sami reverses, sends him over the top rope, and he celebrates again to win. And that's how Saturday Night's Main Events ended, setting up their match next week at the Royal Rumble. So certainly this Saturday Night's Main Event was a lot less memorable than the last Saturday Night's Main Events I reviewed. That was John Cena's retirement. But yeah, I thought this was a fine wrestling show. Fine show. Easy to watch. Women's match I really liked. Thought Nakamura style was delivered, and the Fatal 4 I thought was at least good. Even the Cody Jacob Fatu had a really good brawl. I'll give them that, even though it didn't really mean much. There was no match. But I thought the show was solid tonight. I didn't mind Saturday Night's Main Event. The 43rd Saturday Night's Main Event overall I thought was a decent show tonight from Montreal.